So, Cedar, today we're in the second part of the Bible reading plan in Luke chapter 14, and we're in verse 25 to 35. Did you happen to read it?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome. And so let's see what Jesus has to say. He's taking us towards a very important point. But first he says, large crowds were traveling with Jesus. Turning to them, he said, if anyone comes to them and does not hate his father and his mother, his wife and his children, his brothers and his sister, yes, even his own life, he cannot be my disciple. And anyone who does not carry his cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Cedar, is Jesus telling you to hate people?
No, that's just not Christian ways.
So what do you think Jesus is really trying to say here?
So he's trying to say, like, you have to love him first, more than your family, like, more than the things of this world. And if you don't love him more than anything, that's just a bad thing.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That's why he ends with, and anyone who does not carry his cross and follow me is not my disciple. That's what he's saying, is that following Jesus, you're picking up your cross and following him. And that's not
to give him everything.
That's right. And it's not an easy decision. In fact, he then goes on to say in verse 28, suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Will he not first sit down and estimate the cost to see if he has enough money to complete it? For if he lays the foundation and is not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule him, saying, this fellow began to build and was not able to finish. See, he even says it here, Cedar, estimate the cost. Would you build a huge building without figuring out all the details first?
No, that'd be weird, because then, like, rain would come down on you and then you wouldn't have shelter.
And the whole project is done, right?
Yeah.
Good job. And then in verse 31, he says, or suppose a king is about to go to war against another king. Will he not first sit down and consider whether he is able with 10,000 men to oppose the one coming against him with 20,000? If he is not able, he will send a delegation while the other is still a long way off and will ask for terms of peace. And then Jesus says, in the same way, any of you who does not give up everything he has cannot be my disciple. So this king going to war, what do you think? What is he saying here?
So this king was humble enough to give up all this stuff so that his kingdom could live.
Right, absolutely.
And Jesus is saying that if you don't give up everything, you can't come to follow him.
Right, totally. And just even in our own lives, we have examples that we have in our lives. So for example, Cedar, you've been playing basketball, you've played soccer for a long time, you run track. Did you just wake up in the morning able to do all those things?
No, I have to practice and prepare for these things.
Right, and I've seen you practice. You work really, really hard. What you're being good at those sports, or whether it's schoolwork or any of the things that we do in our lives, if we want to do them well, it comes at a cost. It comes because of our dedication to whatever it is. And that is exactly what Jesus is saying. He's saying that if you are not dedicated to me first, if you don't estimate the cost of what it means to follow me, then everything else is pretty much meaningless, right?
Oh, and estimating the cost of going with Jesus, that goes with the one, with the foundation of the house.
Absolutely. It's a great analogy. Jesus was good at that stuff, wasn't he?
Yeah. Now,
in the last part, he says, in verse 34, salt is good, but if it loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is neither fit for the soil nor for the manure pile. It is thrown out. He who has ears to hear, let him hear. Now he's talking about salt losing its saltiness. Cedar, do you use salt in your daily life?
Yes, I do.
For what purpose?
On food, and that's pretty much all I know for now.
Okay, so check out. I pulled up this list from the internet of things that salt is used for. I'm going to read them to you. So you can use salt to pick up a dropped egg, soothe a bee sting, eliminate a grease fire, clean up oven spills, kill poison ivy, make cream whip more easily, and egg whites whip faster and higher? You can test for rotten eggs, clean brown spots off pans, repel fleas, kill the grass that grows in the cracks of the cement between the patio, which I could use, clean a glass coffee pot, halt mountains of suds from an overflowing washing machine, clean artificial flowers, keep windows frost-free, clean tarnished copper, keep radishes safe in the garden, clean coffee and tea stains from china cups, keep potatoes and apples from turning brown once they're sliced, and you can even clean a cutting board.
That's crazy. And I don't know, it's just too much.
It's a lot, right?
Yeah.
But the point is that you can use salt for a lot of different things. In fact, before we had refrigerators, people used to use salt to preserve their meat, right? And nowadays, we still use salt with meat, and we eat it in strips. It's called beef jerky, right? But what Jesus is saying here is that he is the salt in our lives. He is what adds flavor to our lives.
He's the one that can kill poison ivy.
He's the one that can kill poison ivy. You know what? That is a great place to finish, because the whole point of this section of scripture is that we should dedicate our lives to Jesus first. He adds the flavor to our lives, and he even kills the poison ivy.